everyone, I'm here to show you a spread that you can do for yourself and also one that I'm offering at a reduced price on my Etsy shop. It's one of my more popular readings. It's the 12 house yearly reading. So I'm going to show you the spread and how you can do it for yourself. It's been up in my shop for quite a while, and it is one that is more popular. People like to get it around December, January, turn of the year. People also like to get it on their birthday because it gives you an idea of all the archetypes and energies you're going to be working with for that year. And it uses the system of the 12 houses from astrology. So it is 12, it's actually a 13 card reading because what I do is I have a card for each of the 12 houses in your astrology chart and then also one for the overall tone of the year. So it helps you to know what kind of energies and archetypes that you're working with for the year for everything from finances and work to health and relationships. So it's a great overview of the year, a good idea of what energies you're working with, areas where there might be some opportunities, areas where there might be challenges. And I mean, if you know what challenges are coming ahead, it's often easier to deal with them, or you know how to work with them rather than having them work against you, right? So I'm going to show you the reading so you can do it for yourself. This is a reading where I use multiple decks because I use God and Goddess decks. I use decks that feature goddesses, gods, different archetypes from mythology, because I like to use different artist perspective on them. You'll find that some decks will have similar goddesses in them. For example, a lot of them have Bridget in it, or a lot of them, have Gaia in it. But they'll all have a slightly different take on it. So by doing this, I find that I get a lot more archetypes integrated, different tones, different nuances. You also might find too, when you're doing this, that, maybe more Egyptian gods or goddesses show up, or more Greek or Roman, or maybe more Celtic, and it can give you kind of an idea of what energies you're working with for the year. Now, of course, you don't have to use God or Goddess cards for this. I do encourage you to use multiple decks because, hey, it's fun, but also because it gives you a lot more variety to pull from. It's almost like you're using one giant deck, and I mean, you want the archetypes for the year, so you want to be able to pull from all of these different archetypes that are around you. Some people will use animal cards, some people use runes, some people use plant decks, but it is up to you and kind of what you want for the year. However, if you want to get a reading from me, I'll be using these decks that I'm showing you. They are God and Goddess decks. I'll show you them in a minute, which ones I use personally. Again, feel free if you're doing this for yourself. You don't have to use multiple decks. You can use like just one that you really love, but experiment. Try this out. See how this works for you. I encourage you to do that. I am going to have this on my Etsy shop at a reduced price until the end of the year. So starting now until the end of December of 2020, it's usually at $75 Canadian. It's going to be at $60 Canadian till the end of the year, which, and if you're paying in US dollars, it's probably only about $50, I think, with the exchange and everything. So it's a pretty good deal, I think, for a lengthy reading that shows you all the archetypes you're going to be working with for the year. And then I also have the central card, which is the overall archetype. You can use it as your word for the year, your overall theme for the year, what you're working with for 2021. I know we're all want 2020 to be over with. Not that, as we go and change the calendar, it doesn't necessarily mean that, everything's going to change overnight, but I do have optimism for 2021. I'm going to be putting up on Friday my astrology video for the month of December, and you will see how the energies are shifting and changing for 2021. So it's going to be very interesting. But let's turn the camera around and I will show you this particular spread. So I wanted to show you the decks that I use for this particular reading before I show you the actual spread. So I use a dice, just any regular dice is fine. And then I assign each of these decks a number. So whenever I'm pulling a card for a position, I roll the dice and then I'll shuffle a card. I'll shuffle the deck from the corresponding deck that I've numbered, and I'll pull out a card. So for example, this is 1, the Goddess Oracle. Number 2 is the Goddess Guidance Oracle. Number 3 is the Goddess Power Oracle. Number 5 is Goddesses and Sirens. Number 5 is Gods and Titans, and number 6 is the Mythic Oracle. So if I roll the dice, I got 6. That means I shuffle and pull a card from this deck. And then I go on to the next position doing the same thing, and it allows me to get a wide variety of different archetypes and different gods and goddesses with different artists and illustrators' takes on it. So let's take a look at the spread. So this is the spread, and what it is it's showing you the 12 houses of the zodiac or your birth chart. So we've got our card here in the middle, which shows the overall theme for the year and the keyword for the year. So we have here Yemaya and surrender. I'm not going to do a reading with this because it would take too long, but your card in the middle, which can be either the first card or the last card you put down. I like to use it as the last card, the 13th card, because I think there's something magic to the number 13, but you might want to pull your first card, decide ahead of time first what you want to do. Now, this card over here is the first house, and the first house is about the sense of self. It can sometimes also be about the way you dress, the way you present yourself to the world. It can also be about how you feel about the year, especially at the start of the year as you move forward. So it really is about your sense of self in the world. The second position is about finances and values. So anything to do with money will show up here, anything to do with abundance, prosperity. There is another card here that shows something to do with money, but this is the main one for finances, this position here. The third position is about communication. It also has to do with your siblings as well. And also if you're working on any kind of communication type project, anything like a writing project, a speaking project, learning a language, that will show up here. The fourth house, which is off screen here, but I'll show it to you. This is about family. This is about your home, your actual house. So if you're planning a move or you're looking at doing home renovations, they'll show up here, but also your family of origin. Things like your parents, your ancestors, your wider extended family will all show up in this card. Number 5 is creativity in children. So any issues around children that you have, but also any creative projects are going to show up in this position. The 6th house here, the 6th position, is your health. So this has to do with your bodily health, any issues that may come up. It also has to do with your job, not necessarily your career. Like maybe, let's say you're an artist, but to make money you're waitressing, well, your waitress job would show up here in the 6th position. The 7th position is partnership. So this is often where romance shows up. If you're married or in a committed partnership, that will show up here, but also business partnerships as well. Position number 8, it's sort of a mysterious house. It's sex, death, and magic. So it has to do with long-term finances, especially inherited finances, whereas this is more about like immediate money that you're making. It also has to do with issues around sex, as well as, magic. If you're a magical practitioner, issues will show up there. Now, you may notice that in this reading, Ishel shows up twice, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She shows up here from this deck, which is the Goddess Guidance Oracle, and she shows up in the Goddess and Sirens. But you'll see that she has two different keywords here. For this one, in the 6th position, it says Medicine Woman. And here in the 8th position, it says Release. So again, you've got like a goddess showing up twice here, which can be a clue that this goddess might want to work with this person, but also showing that, there's two different energies going on here. Now, these are a little off screen, but the 9th position here, you can see it's like a wheel. The 9th position is the house of higher education. It's of travel, the law, publishing. So if you're involved in any legal issues, that'll show up there. If you're looking to travel, that will show up there, as well as, if you're taking any courses, especially like university level type courses, that'll show up here. At the top here, we have the 10th position, which is career. So this is your career, your public image. Again, if you're an artist who's also a waitress, your artistry will show up here. The 11th house is about friends. It's about the people around you. And so it's not always so much what's happening to you, but it's what's happening to those around you, which may have an influence on you. And then the 12th house is the house of the subconscious. It's the shadow. It's the stuff we don't acknowledge about ourselves, the stuff we may struggle with during the year, things we may just struggle to integrate with. And so it matches up. It actually pairs up really well with the first house, because the first house is like how we're consciously feeling about things, our sense of self. And then this is like, hey, this is what you need to work on this year. So as you can see, it gives kind of an overview of all the different areas that someone may want to know about in their life and the different energies that they're working with, and how by combining different decks, you can get all sorts of different energies going on here. And you can even get the same the same god or goddess show up twice or even three times, but they'll have slightly different tones to them. So try it out for yourself. Again, if you want one from me, you can check it out on the Etsy shop. Thanks very much for watching. As I said, try this out for yourself. Feel free to adjust it as you need. Work with whatever decks you want to work with for this particular reading, and I hope that you get some insight from it. Again, if you want a reading from me on my shop, link below to the Etsy shop where you can get that reading at a reduced price until the end of December 2021. I'm wishing you all so much love. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, peace and love and rock and roll.